Alright, this video will be about depression and how I do my best to deal with it, not focus on it. It's pretty hard. I've had a lot of really hard things happen over the years. Currently homeless, living in my car, no family, no friends. Lost my job on Friday. But yeah, life is just hard. Like anytime I look at someone and there was this guy in this wheelchair like a week ago, and I was telling him about my job and how I don't make enough that I get an apartment and how I need a grant, and he's just like, yeah, I know how it is. I was like, yeah, life's hard, man. What are you gonna do? But yeah, I just try to mostly not focus on it too much. Like I have anxiety, I have a lot of different things, and you just try not to focus on it. Try not to hype it up the best that you can. Try not to just psych yourself out, because I get real bad about that. I'm like a nihilist, or like a doomer or whatever, you know what I mean? So like it's half empty at all times for me. So I'm always looking at something like, this is not great, or the outcome of this is probably going to be bad, or I'm just looking at it like in a poor light, because I have no faith in things. As a result, over time, I've learned to not have faith in things. See, the light is like cascading through. Okay. But yeah, I've learned to just not have faith in things or people, or it's better to have the worst outcome as your what you expect to happen. Again, it's really difficult to just deal with things, but for me, a lot of it is just trying to tune it out, to not focus on anything outside of like what is going on right here, right now. Like, I need a new job. I gotta start making more money. I have to save money. And whether I'm depressed or unhappy, I don't get fed if I don't work. So you just kind of have to tune it out. Try not to focus on it. Try not to beat yourself up. Like, I'm real bad about it. Like, my car is about to turn 19, 2004, and about to be 2023. So my car is pretty old, but it has never one time in 190,000 miles broke down, left me somewhere, not worked. You know what I mean? Like, I had to add some transmission fluid to it at one point, just because it was low and it didn't want to shift at one point. I was like, what is wrong with you? And then eventually I just figured out, like, oh, I need to add some transmission fluid. So it did that, but again, never broke down on me. It still drove me the hour home after it did the shifty thing. It did it like 2 days in a row, or like 2 times in a week, and I was like, all right, I gotta check this out. Like, what's wrong with you? So I figured that out. But yeah, it's never broke down on me. Nothing's ever went wrong with it. But I'm always worried something will go wrong with it, and how that would leave me. And it wouldn't be good. It would actually be very bad. I'd have to I live in my car, so I just have to find like the nearest shelter that had a bed, and then just go there, because I can't, even if I could afford to get a car, it would be kind of a crappy car. I wouldn't really want to spend my last $2,000, $3,000 on a car. I wouldn't want to spend more than $1,000 on a car, and I would just end up with a piece of crap car. So I'd probably just try and live out of the shelter for like 6 months and just power through the closest job that I could get. And I have a bicycle in storage, maybe I could grab that. So I would just, like I say, it would be very bad if my car was to break down. So it does worry me, but at the same time, as much as it worries me, I can't focus on it. I can't drive myself up a wall about it, or sometimes I can, but I try not to. And a lot of that, I guess, is just trying to stay busy. As busy as you can be. Don't let your thoughts rule you. Don't try not to drive yourself up a wall. Like I've been smoking pot since I was about 12. I turned 30 this year. I'm like 30. I turned 30 like a couple months ago. But yeah, so I've been smoking it pretty much off and on my entire life. And I don't know at what point, but at a certain point, I started giving myself real horrible, like PTSD style nightmares about just terrible things that have happened to me and new situations. Like, imagine failing in new ways that you've never even failed. Like, why would you do that to yourself? But that's the type of things that my brain does to itself when it's asleep. So, like, I just have terrible nightmares of past failures and failures that have never come to fruition, and I'll just be tortured by those all night. So, it's pretty important to me that I do smoke for that, just so I don't have the nightmares or I don't remember them. It's pretty hard for me to remember them or even focus on them or be there, because a dream could be 5 minutes could feel like hours, right? So, and I don't sleep very well. I wake up a lot at night, even when I had an apartment and a bed and everything. I still would wake up a fair bit at night. I wake up and just don't know why. I just roll back over, go to sleep. So imagine just constantly having like new rotating PTSD nightmares. It'd be horrible, and thankfully I don't have to deal with that because I do have my medical card. But I kind of preface that to say, like, other than when I'm at work, I'm pretty much constantly, stoned, even now, which I have to tone it back at some point, but it's really hard to when I put myself through so much hardship all the time. Like, yeah, I don't know. But yeah, I pretty much use it all the time when I'm not at work. I'm definitely, you shouldn't use vape pens the way that I use them. I wouldn't recommend it. It would make people tired or, nauseous probably. So, but yeah, I just try to, I use that so that I don't drive myself up a wall. Like, I just constantly in my own head, just torturing myself, or just like thinking, and I'm constantly having to like see people and look at people, and I was in a nice car, like everyone seems like they're okay. Like, my entire world and other people's worlds are so vastly different, other than the fact that like we're people, I guess. I don't even know what it would be like to have a home and a safe place. I don't even really. I had my apartment for a while, but that was always like I knew I was gonna lose it thing anyway. So I don't know what that would feel like if I just have like my own safe place to be. I don't have to worry about anything, and I could always go back there whenever I wanted. Like, I don't know. So it would be weird, but yeah. I try really hard not to focus on that. I try and hit thrift stores, keep myself busy there, or like, I don't like working in general, but if I have to work, I'd like to be busy at work so that my day goes by faster. And then other than that, I just try and like watch YouTube. Like, I hate to have silence, like when my phone's dead or I know it needs to charge, because I'll turn it off to let it charge, or I'll leave it alone to let it charge, because otherwise I'll run my battery banks down more, and it'll just cause issues. Like, it'll just take longer too. So I just try and leave it alone and let it charge and do its thing. But I completely lost my thought. It's very difficult for me to focus on anything. I have ADHD, so it's difficult for me to stay focused on things. But if I can find things to focus on, it at least keeps my mind busy so that I'm not driving myself up the wall about, my situation and why it sucks and why I'm unhappy and all the different things. Like, it's just so easy to let your mind go to a dark place, like, especially if you have no like sounding board. Like, it's one thing if you're if you're doing bad things or you're doing a bad job, and like you're taking poor care of yourself and everything else, and it's like you have people around who could be like, hey, like, you are really screwing up right now, like you're doing a bad job, you know what I mean? But at the same time, if you weren't doing a bad job or you're doing a good job, and you had people in your life, like family, to support you and be like, hey, you are doing a good job, that would be, that'd be different. I mean, it would definitely make it easier, but without having that, you kind of have to not let yourself, go insane. Not drive yourself up the wall, like however you can. Because if you hate yourself, or maybe everyone else was really hard on you when you were growing up and you were always kind of a failure, that even when you're doing good, since you thought yourself to be a failure for so long, that you can't really do better. I guess it's hard to tell yourself that you're doing better, even if you know you're doing better, it's hard to like really feel like you're doing better, because you're still in a bad circumstance. You're still in bad situations. You're still stuck. It's hard to be like, I have a job, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, and it's just like, yeah, but you're not going anywhere. You're stuck. So it's very difficult to do that, and to not focus on that. Like, you just have to stay busy. Like, I like to be watching YouTube or just be listening to YouTube usually. But it's also hard for me to find things to watch. Like, I'm so disinterested in things that, like, I remember back when we had Netflix, I would just scroll. Like, I just scroll 45 minutes. Sometimes I do the same thing on YouTube. I just can't find anything to watch. It's hard for me to entertain myself. It's hard for me to stay focused on something. Even when I do find something, usually I only get 20 minutes in, I'm just like, I'm bored. I hate it. Like, even with video games, like, I'm just so disinterested in everything. And it's an issue. Like, I have so many mental issues that I need to tackle at some point, but I just don't have the time or the resources to do so. So I just try to compartmentalize everything and kind of put everything in a box and just not think about it, which is bad, but if it's the only thing that you can really do, you have to do what you have to do. I've said this many times, but maybe not all humans, but I feel like most humans, like, you're adaptive. Like, no matter what happens, you can most likely adapt to that situation. It might not be easy, it might nearly kill you, it might kill you, but realistically, if the only way forward was through a very difficult situation, you would just, you would grab the wheel, you would turn the sails, if this was Sea of Thieves, and you would just steer into the storm. Like, you wouldn't think about it. You would just go into it. You would just do what you had to do. And that's kind of just human nature. I feel like a lot of the, like, the weakness and the pampering that we see in society now is more just like generational, what's the word I want to use? Just coziness. I guess just generationally over and over again. You're just so used to things being a certain way, or you just expect things to be a certain way. And as time goes on and technology evolves, a lot of it's more just convenience based. So you're just constantly being convenienced over and over, to no end, to the point where you don't have to leave the house. Like, you get Amazon to deliver everything. You can just stay at the house all the time. Like, a lot of this is just like weakness that's spread through technology and society as itself. Like, if you lived out in the middle of nowhere, in a cabin, but you didn't want to hunt, and you didn't want to grow your own food, you would just go to a store, because that's what you had to do to get your food, You just figure it out. But yeah, this is terrible. This is a terrible video. I don't even know if I'm going to put it up, but it's really hard to deal with depression. It's really hard to deal with anything. I feel like a lot of the time you just have to compartmentalize it, because I can't just sit here and cry in the parking lot. I've done so a few times, but you can't just sit here and cry. You can't, woe is me, how hard things are, or anything else, because just nobody cares. It means nothing. Like, your struggle, your hardship means nothing to anyone. The same way that your success probably means nothing to anyone. So you just really have to, get it for yourself somehow. God, I just feel like I cannot stick on a single thought. Yeah. They also make it hard, especially if you're by yourself. Like you don't have any family or any support. There's always the fear that if you were to seek mental help, like if you were to go to seek asylum or something, you might never get out. Like it might just stick you in there. So it's I don't know if I should say anything to anyone or say, if I should say something to someone or you say nothing to no one. You know what I mean? I don't know which one results in better results. It's all scary. It's I'd love to get help with my mental health, but at the same time, one, I don't have the money. Two, I don't have any support system in case something was to happen. And three, I'm also fearful of what rights and different things you can lose when you are, diagnosed with something. At a certain point, I don't care, but as long as I need to work and I have to support myself and I have to do all these things, it'd definitely be harder with some sort of a diagnosis. But it's hard, even if you want to seek help. It's I don't really want to be on a bunch of medications. I don't want to, run the gambit of just crap. You know what I mean? Maybe this helps me, but it probably just makes me feel even more depressed and, potentially makes trouble for me in my life. Maybe I lose my job or just different things. So I'm very frightful of that. I prefer to just be able to talk to someone, but it's just therapy sessions are so expensive. I wish I could just kind of work through things with someone. I don't even know where I would start. It's if I was to just start talking about all the things that have happened to me that I can even just remember because my memory's so bad. But if I was even to just go off of that, it'd be, I don't know, 10 hours, 20 hours, 100 hours of just terrible things that I've been through that I'm not sure how to deal with or process, I guess. So yeah, I'm not sure. I don't even know how to work through anything because it's I don't know how I would work through things. How would I work through things? I had to forgive myself somehow. I'd have to do a lot of things. I'm not even sure. I say, I need to talk to someone expert and figure out how I would work my way through things. But it's when you're constantly on fire, when you're constantly up against it, when you have to get it, or you will starve. I don't even feel like I have time for anything. I don't ever feel like I can do anything. I don't have money for anything. I just always feel stuck. I felt like that for years now. So yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure what I'll do, but I think I got this new job. I know it's a slightly different note, but I think I got this new job. I go tomorrow for onboarding, but I went and took a tour of the place. Job looks super easy. Yeah, $18 an hour. The highest I've been paid other than snow removal. So I'm gonna take this job and see where that goes. Most likely I'm getting the job. The guy seemed he's happy to have me. I don't know, but I'm going to the onboarding tomorrow, and then I would start on Monday. So if that works out, I'm gonna get a new sleeping bag so I don't freeze to death, and try to, I don't know, settle in to living up here. And then if for some reason that job worked out and I didn't freeze to death this winter, I would just grind out another spring, summer, and fall in the car. And then if I potentially could, I would get a 6 months apartment lease, which I don't know if I'd even be able to. And then coming out of that winter, I would probably have enough money that I could get land in an RV. I don't know. It's fast forward a year from now, I might actually have $20,000 and be able to do what I want to do. But It's gonna be a really long road, and I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to, hold it together for that. I've never held a job down for more than a year. And it's definitely a lot harder when you're living in your car. I feel like I'm always stressed out. I'm always up against it. I'm always like just going. So it's definitely difficult to, deal with it. And for the most part, I've gotten really good about it. I'm actually severely mentally ill, but I wear the fake face so strong, and I've been wearing it for so long that it's hard for people to tell. I just, yeah, I dress really nice. I am very polite. I try to be as not noticeable as humanly possible. Well, I guess other than the way I dress, but I try to just, not have to speak to anyone, not to have to engage with anyone. So you never really know that there's just someone who has super bad anxiety, who doesn't want to be around someone, who doesn't want to be around people at all, who hates being in public, who is constantly depressed, is constantly putting himself down, just constantly driving myself insane. You wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that someone whose grandfather died in his arms as he was begging him to go to the hospital. You wouldn't know that. You wouldn't know that I found needles in my mother's purse when I was like 6 or something, just before she died, in the same apartment where she ended up dying. I found needles in her purse, and I didn't know what to do about it, so I was like, I didn't do anything about it. I think she kind of lost her mind a little bit there in that apartment, and I ended up living with my grandparents, and then she died of an overdose, or she was killed by someone, and I was in Florida living with my grandparents. I think I was like 7, 8 years old. But again, it's like I put the fake face on so hard that you wouldn't see that. You wouldn't see all the dark things that I've been through and all the hard times. You might not see it because I don't know. I know that nobody cares. So I just try and not focus on it. I don't know. It's hard. It's hard to not think about it and not focus on it, but I have to. Otherwise, I just stand out. I feel so sad. If I was to really tune in with my feelings, as I do sometimes, I just feel real sad. And some days are worse than others. Some days I feel real depressed, or I just keep telling myself the same thing. And yeah, I just try not to focus on it. I try not to think about it because, yeah, I'm just an echo chamber for my worst thoughts most of the time. So if I can, be focused on something and be stoned and not think about it, that's probably the best thing for me. Because I do a good job. I do the best I can. I think I do better than most people would in these circumstances. But it's still hard. It's still hard to be nice to yourself, and I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with this, but I think this has been more than long enough. Depression sucks. Mental illness sucks. If you can seek help, seek it. But be careful, be selective. Don't just do what people tell you to do because they say it'll help you. If you don't feel like it helps you, then maybe it doesn't. So take care of yourself. It's getting cold. It's hard out here. Hope everyone has a nice Halloween. See you guys.